Welcome to episode 3 of Access Granted with our special guest, Charles Rambo. Stay tuned until the end for a special offer.
What specific police reforms would you implement? So we talked about the recruiting and hiring, and you talked about new recruits and so on and so forth. But we need reforms. So what reforms would you implement? Was her question.
Well, I can go back. I can't say what I would implement because I'm not in a position of authority to implement anything. What I can do is to go back and to reflect on what was put into place that brought about a total 100% change in a very short period of time. First and foremost, I believe only in legal principles, because when I speak, whether it's on a witness stand or before an audience, particular law enforcement, it has to come from a legal basis. You might take what I say and put it into practice and come back and say, hey, I did this. Yeah, but did you do it according to the legal standard? Because that would be my defense. So you can't be able to say that I told you something inappropriate. I'm not saying Robin. I'm just saying when I talk about things that I did. So I believe first and foremost, as law enforcement, strictly abiding according to the federal and the state constitution. Why is that? Because that is what governs our actions from the streets to the courtroom. We have to be more cognizant of the legal implications of what we learn, because it has such a great impact on the people that we serve. Whether that be use of force, whether that be search and seizure. There has to be a very strict constitutional application of the Fourth Amendment on these principles from law enforcement, and I guarantee you it would change around the narratives around the use of force incidents. Perfect example. When I created a system called CompStat, COMPSTAT, when I put that in place at the county jail, our use of force incidents went from almost a 75% occurrence down to almost 5%, 5% in less than 2 months. Why? Because we did not tolerate that behavior in principle and, ban it in principle, but tolerate it in practice. When you came to a CompStat meeting, the supervisor was responsible for giving us statistical data, showing us where he had done proactive oversight of his deputies and detention officers, monitoring their behaviors, any incident involving the use of force. I'm not telling you that force will not be used, but was it used appropriately? Do you have the incident report to show it? Did you come in and follow up behind it? Because you're vicariously responsible whether you were there or not. Well, guess what? That made supervisors get up off of their duffs and get more involved in day-to-day operations. When they came to the CompStat meeting, knowing that that podium was a hot spot, that you could not come and stretch the lies or give us false statistics or feed us BS to the command staff, everything began to change, and it began to spiral that even the federal monitor who oversaw the jail was now reporting these numbers in his reports to the federal court, a total increase and drastic drop in the use of force. So I again believe that it takes strong leadership to hold not only the line staff, but also the managerial staff. You just can't be the good old boy system with me. Never happened, never would occur in anything that I ran or would run in the future. You either perform or you need to get up off of the pot. As we say, I'm going to show you the way. I'm going to show you how to do the job. If you mess up, then we're going to show you the way again. We're going to see if we can come back and give you corrective measures. But if you just keep screwing up, I'm going to have to show you the way. There it is.
Out the door.
I'm gonna have to give you the opportunity to realize some new horizons and let you step out on faith because you're just not getting it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We have, these police officers that are doing these heinous crimes. And now these police officers could be in the same jail with some of the people that they've arrested, some of the people that, they've done these heinous crimes to, or somebody may be related to the one that they did the heinous crimes to. I was looking, or no, I was reading an article yesterday, and this happened in Chicago. So there was this police officer in Chicago, and there was, this particular neighborhood that he targeted because it was a low income Black community. And he targeted this neighborhood along with some of his, co-partners or co-conspirators or what have you. And they would plant drugs on people. They would, just, wreak havoc in these people's lives. And they never got in trouble for it. Well, now this ring leader of this did something else, and now that came forth. Now, all of the people who he has done this to for decades are now coming out of the woodworks because they said, we tried to tell this before that this was a bad cop, but we were not believed. It turned my life upside down. So now I lost my family. I lost my job. I haven't seen my children in, years and years. And so it wreaked havoc. I remember one guy on there said that he was just going to, I think, his mom's house to take her some food or what have you. And he stepped out of the door just to get ready to leave or what have you. And all of a sudden, these dudes just come up and say, you were with this person and you did that, and just began to accuse him. And he said he didn't do any of that. Next thing he know, he was in jail being accused of, running a drug ring and, selling heroin and all of those things. So you got all of these things that some law enforcement officers are doing under the table. And they're wreaking havoc on people's lives. And some of these people are still in jail. They're still having to suffer from that. So now you got the police officers in jail with the people that they arrested or what have you. So what do you think is about to happen to them? Are they still protected? Are they going to be protected from those people, or are they going to even be protected from those who they were serving with, the other law enforcement officers? And I know that may be just kind of off the cuff, but that's just how my brain works. I want to know, are they going to get beat up in the shower or?
Well, let me come back and answer it from, again, a legal perspective. One of my favorite quotes that I like teaching to law enforcement recruits, it comes from former United States Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis when he was giving his opinion on a particular matter dealing with the Fourth Amendment. And he said, quote, the government cannot commit crimes in order to secure a conviction against a private citizen. To do so would bring about a terrible retribution. In other words, the government cannot go out and violate the Constitution to try to secure convictions against people who are otherwise innocent until proven guilty. All of the elements that you just said a second ago, planting drugs, setting folks up, what have you. These are crimes that are being committed by a government actor. But whoa, watch this. He ends it by saying it would bring a terrible retribution. In other words, a response. So now you have these people who have otherwise been unduly convicted. Did they commit a crime? Maybe so, but you can't set people up You can't set people up in crimes as a government actor and just get away with it without now people with inside of that system now saying, hey, man, that same dude did this to you. That same. So now you're beginning to see that terrible retribution now coming back saying, what are you going to do about it, city of Chicago, now that we have a pattern in practice,
Right.
a pattern in practice of behaviors tolerated and abandoned principle, but tolerated in practice. I'm going to give you readers, listeners, a homework assignment. It's called USC. USC. Notice I'm in my classroom, so I got to turn this into a teachable moment. USC 14141. USC 14141. And that deals with patterns and practices of police misconduct that the Department of Justice now can come in to an agency and look at every incident report, every body cam footage, every citizen complaint to see whether or not this is a culture that tolerates these type of things in particular communities. Last but not least, in that same breadth and manner, you can look up USC 242. USC 242, deprivation of rights under the color of law. This means that you cannot use your badge for an unconstitutional or illegal purpose, lest you now are going to get convicted yourself. And as you just said so eloquently, Sharon, now you're there inside of the prison system with the very people that you arrested. So do they get separate, separate housing from general populations? Usually, but that does not still want to remind you, I don't want to spend no day of damn jail in nobody's system. I don't want to be nowhere near. So
but why do they get the why do they get to be separate now? You know, you did the crime. You did the crime. So why do they get separate housing? You know, here's the thing. Nobody, as they would tell, you know, the general public, nobody told you to commit this crime. You know, nobody, you know, told you to go out and commit this crime. Well, by the same token, nobody told them to commit that crime. So why is it that they get separate housing now from the general population?
And for that very reason, you have rules and laws that govern classification of inmates. You have to separate inmates based upon their crimes, their statuses from in communities or what have you, because to do so, the person, if they are injured, a person very easily could say that I was placed in a general population that you knew would be a threat to my life. That's the law. That's the law as it pertains to classifying inmates.
See that? Well, here's the thing.
And it just doesn't apply to law enforcement. It applies to a wide variety and range of people.
Okay, so if you are a citizen and you murder someone, you go in the population of murderers. If you are law enforcement and you murder somebody, you go into the general population with the rest of the murderers. You don't get to be housed somewhere separately.
And that would be good public thought consumption, but legally that would also be negligence on the prison officials' part of placing an officer in a general population, regardless of what they were charged with. In fact, I believe, I can't name specifically where it is, but there are even work camps or other prisons that are for people who have been public officials.
Yeah, I got a feeling that a lot of listeners and, you know, if people knew that they wouldn't be happy about that, because at the end of the day, whether you are law enforcement or not, if you did the crime, then that's the population that you are supposed to be in. You know, it's almost like, people, I probably shouldn't say this, but a lot of our celebrities who are caught for fraud or, money wiring or, illegal money laundering or what have you. Okay. But they get to go to these beautiful, basically resorts that are called rehab centers or whatever. They still have, some of the luxuries that cannot be afforded in, the normal jail. So you got them, they can go away and they get still, more time outside, or they get magazines, they get all of these things. But yet you have someone over here that, let's just take a citizen or a young teenager or whatever, that has less than an ounce of marijuana. He's thrown in jail for 5 to 7 years in the general population. Now he got to fight for his life because he had less than an ounce of weed. It just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, because it does not. And so now you're going to tell me that we got officers out here. Let's just put out here the officers in Memphis, all 6 of them. We've been pulling the black ones and the white ones and the EMT people, all of them. And you're saying that if they are convicted of these crimes, then they get to go into another space outside of the general population in the jail. Why?
Well,
They did the crime.
Well, before I get to start, everybody says I look like Judge Joe Brown, so I don't want to go into
You
his
do?
characteristic and answering that question.
I
I
don't
think I've given
understand.
enough context, though. I'm sorry, given enough context in terms of the classification system.
Yeah.
It has to be followed on any inmate that comes inside of any facility to ensure that they are being housed with like-minded persons that otherwise would not be a threat to themselves. Because at the end of the day, a criminal has committed an act, but by standards of humanity, person is still a human who still enjoys some rights.
Okay, yeah, I'm still left a little baffled about that whole thing right there. So I cannot tell you that deep down into my spirits that I agree with it at all. So, okay, so we're gonna, get ready to wrap this up, but I want to go to one of the last questions that Robin had, and she said, and I'm gonna, put all 3 of these questions into one. What do single dads tell their daughters? What do single moms say to their sons? What does a grandmother say to her grandsons, or a grandfather to their granddaughters? When they see all of these things happening, when they know that this is another generation. My girls' generation, they out here. They just like, hey, what? What do
Hey,
you want?
Alex. Hey,
I know, right? Hey, Alex and Gabby.
hey,
But
Gabby.
that generation is just, there's a freedom that they have. And we see that all over YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. They said Facebook is for us older people, so they don't really do Facebook. So I said,
I
okay.
just got an Instagram account myself, so I understand. I'm still on MySpace.
Yeah. Oh, you are not on MySpace. Yeah. So, we have all of them, but you have us as baby boomers and those that are before us that may be, raising them or teaching them, or what have you. So what are they supposed to say? Because now, let me just tell you from my girls' experience, and look, you have experience with my girls. My girls was
Bye,
your
bye, bye.
training ground.
Oh, listen, I'm going to go ahead and say it right here. Thank you, Alex, for our early interventions. You prepared me for my daughter that is the exact image, likeness, and mannerisms as you. Sweet but stubborn.
Look, Alex will give you a run for your money.
Yes, she will.
But here's the thing though. I think it has flipped now. So Alex has become a little bit more mild now. Now Gabby is that, oh, in your face, because that's the activist of the family. And so now she is that in your face. Let me just tell you what's happening. Let me tell you about this, this law and this law, and this is what you should say, and you cannot say that, and you have to identify people as this. That's Gabby now. So
you have seen Wakanda too many times. The general, the one that was the general to T'Challa.
yes. So but what do parents, what do grandparents, what do they say to the sons, the daughters, the grandsons, the granddaughters? What do uncles say to their nephews or their nieces, and aunts say to their nephews or nieces? What is that dialogue? And here's the thing. I know that we have to set the foundation. We gotta go back. And again, I know everybody's not Christian, but we gotta go back to a foundation that touches our spirit first. We gotta get our spirit right, and we gotta act like there is a God. And whether you call him God, whether you call him Yahweh, whether you call him Jehovah, or whether you call him El Adonai, no matter what that name, the creator, the sustainer, the protector, whatever name you call him, the higher power, you gotta get back to that established foundation. Because I told my girls, I said, I may not be able to leave you with a lot of money. I may not be able to leave you with a lot of materialistic things, but what I will leave you is the knowledge and wisdom from God. I will leave you on a firm foundation that where you will be able to build your life on that firm foundation. And no matter where you go, no matter what happens in your life, you'll always be able to withstand the wiles of the enemy. You'll be able to withstand, the hardships and the challenges that you may face in life because you have the firm foundation, which is God, which is his word. And I know that there are a lot of parents out there that are teaching their children, their grandchildren, or what have you, to stand on that foundation. But then we have those that are not, like, go get that money, go get that paper, go get them coins, honey, do whatever you got to do to go out there. And you can go get the money and you can go get the coins, but I promise you it won't last. It won't last the way you think it's going to last. So besides that foundation, what else do you say that parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles need to tell their young family members?
Well, again, I know you like to tease me. I'm
Come on, Bishop.
I'm no preacher, no bishop, what have you. But again, not only do I believe in a lawful foundation, I believe in a spiritual foundation. And even right now, I'm raising a 5-year-old. And believe it or not, I'm giving her some tough life lessons at 5 years old. Why? Because crime as well as mayhem is seeping down into the elementary schools now.
Yeah.
When you get a 9-year-old who can take a pistol to school and shoot the teacher, you better start teaching your kids very early on
Yeah.
in terms of how to be tactically, mentally, and physically, academically prepared. That if anything happens in your school, you will know how to respond like a warrior. That don't mean you're attacking somebody. It means that you're protecting yourself. So I'm starting even with my 5-year-old. But I take it to this foundation, and that is when you analyze, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Well, grandmother, no matter what you tell your kids, you can't walk with them through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
Mothers, fathers, everything that you impart into your kids, what are you giving them that when they have to make that journey alone, what is walking with them? Is it God walking with you? Is it God plus the law? And this is what I love about the Jewish community. Before you turn 12 years old, 12, 13 years old, you have to go through a series of training that now qualifies you at your bar mitzvah as a boy, that you have to have a foundation and understanding of the law. I cannot tell you in my career of 30-something years that I ever saw anyone Jewish inside of the Fulton County Jail.
Wow. Wow.
Listen where I'm going. This is not anti-Semitism. Anybody who wants to spread that, bag up and listen.
Yeah.
When you are a girl, you are considered a woman under your bat mitzvah at the same age. So they are entrusting their children based upon their fundamental knowledge of the law, both spiritual as well as the law of the land, so that you will know as you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death, whether you're going to the club, whether you're going out here on these streets. Yes, I said SKREETS.
These streets.
These streets. Wherever you're going, we are living in a culture of death, and you've got to know how to survive. So mothers and fathers, you are doing a good job with the spiritual foundation that you're giving your kids, of getting them into church, getting them into the word. But we also got to get the kids' understanding of the basic tenets and the fundamentals of the law. And I'll give you this example. And if there's another question behind this, I'll be more than happy to answer. So I was invited to the Fulton Leadership Academy, which was primarily young Black men. And I went at the height of a lot of interactions between police and police and citizens, particularly young Black men, and giving them a foundation of the law. Had a very captive audience of almost over 150 boys. And I brought with me a spreadsheet, not a spreadsheet, but a handout that listed specific laws that they needed to understand when they are interacting with the police. As again, we can go back to that emotional intelligence, knowing how to respond. I love when the Hebrew boys, when they said to Nebuchadnezzar, we're careful not to respond to you. I'm going to exercise my First Amendment right by not saying a word, and just watch how God is going to intervene in this situation. So fast forwarding, we did a follow-up at another another session of which the parents attended. Watch where I'm getting ready to go. And as we were sitting there, a gentleman who was running for state representative, he was a lawyer, even he was amazed at this response. So I'm asking the kids, hey, you remember what we talked about with the Fourth Amendment, and this, that, and the other? And one of the kids was getting ready to respond, and one of the adults stood up in the back and very nastily interrupted this session and said, why are you teaching these kids this? They need to understand how to grip the steering wheel, how to say yes or no, sir, and how to do this, that, and the other. And one of the boys stood up and said, listen, the Fourth Amendment gives me the right to be free from unlawful searches and seizures. And what Mr. Rambo had taught us was how to, number one, remain silent and let the officer do the talking, because now it's incumbent upon him to prove everything. I don't have to prove anything. The only thing I need to do is maintain my innocence in a calm manner. This is a little 10-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Parent got up and walked out feeling ashamed, not because I had put them in check. The kids were like, stop insulting our intelligence when we're learning a new field of knowledge that's affecting us.
Right, right.
So reinforce to your children the law. Let them understand the law. Jewish young boys understand the law before they even get into life, because they're now considered men that they must abide by the rules of law, not only for their communities, but for the self-preservation and protection of themselves. I would say we need to follow that same principle of getting our kids understanding the law as opposed to understanding YouTube of these situations that continuously get them in trouble.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. Here's a saying that I've heard: you cannot teach that which you do not know. So, we oftentimes say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But we don't know the law. We don't know the Fourth Amendment. We don't know the First Amendment. We don't know the 14th Amendment. We don't know the amendments. We don't know what the Constitution states. So we just kind of, go off of, hey, this is what you do, and that could get you in further trouble.
Well, this is what I will do, and this is what the Spirit just said to me.
All right, come on, Spirit.
It just grabbed me by the collar. I do webinars. I teach online accredited training from the state, particularly amongst law enforcement officers. I did some sessions at churches, particularly also the Fulton Leadership Academy, on know your rights, exercise common sense. Anybody who is listening, here's where I'm going to challenge your audience. Now it's time for the call to action. I normally charge $200 per hour for hosting classes. If you bring me a set of young men in a webinar, I'll do it for free. Bring me
okay, come on now.
a set of, now this is a one-time thing now.
Yeah, only on access granted.
Only on access granted. I will do a webinar similar to what I teach law enforcement, but I will give it to the kids as applications that they can use in understanding law. But now at that time, it's also going to be incumbent that the parents attend that particular session. So watch this. At the end of the day, I'm not qualified because I'm a celebrity. I'm not qualified because, I'm a sportscaster that just can talk about these things. I have real world applications that you can use in everyday life. So the sooner the better. Bring me at least 25 young men. Bring me 25 young men to this table, and I will get that process started.
So I want to make sure that, we are not discriminating with the young women.
I will say this, I'm not being discriminatory at any portion in time. I would love to start off with young men and then incorporate young ladies, because there's a greater onus, a greater risk factor for young Black men right now. And they really need, as protectors of their household and themselves, grow into that accountability.
Is there a certain age?
I would say anywhere from 10 up to 17, 10 to 17, because I would love to catch those before they potentially could get charged with a crime and now be considered an adult.
Yeah.
At least we can hopefully catch them on the juvenile side And again, I don't care what background they come from. I just want to be able to reach that audience. Again, ladies, I'm not discriminating against the girls, but I want to place a greater onus and accountability
Right.
on young men.
Right. Now, is this just for the Black community, or is it for all races? So, and I know, again, just like you're not discriminating against the girls, because this is happening, these atrocities are happening a lot, to our Black boys, our Black men. And so I know that, of course, that group is first and foremost. But I just want to make sure that we have clarity, of, who this audience can be and so on and so forth. And I don't want anybody going, oh yeah, Rambo was on access granted, and he said that, because of my color, I couldn't come, or because of my age, or, but there's a reason why, you're asking for a certain group.
Well, to that point, I am open. I mean, because this affects even poor whites. It affects Hispanics. It affects a multitude of people. So yes, I would say my primary trigger audience would be Black males. But at the same time, I welcome anybody that can come and sit and listen to facts. I don't speak on critical race history. I speak on critical race facts. I speak on issues that got us to where we are, because if we don't go back and visit how we got here, we will never know how to move it forward. So if you are mature enough, Black, white, Hispanic, to listen to the facts and make the adjustments, you're more than welcome.
Got it. And what's the name of the course again, so that our listening audience will be able to know and they can make an intelligent decision? And on top of that, once Rambo looks at his calendar, because it's busy, then we can put some dates out there. But I want to just, get what the name of the course would be.
It would be Know Your Rights, Exercise Common Sense. It is a forum that I had put on for the Fayette County NAACP. It was put on at our church, at the Olivet Church. It was put on at the Fulton Leadership Academy, and it was met with great success. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reviving that conversation. I would say it would probably take an hour and a half. I know that most of our youth have an attention span of no more than 10 to 15 seconds. Yeah, but this is information that you need to retain deep in your soul. So you're going to have to look at this beyond a TikTok or a Snapchat moment. This is some information that's going to help save your life.
Yeah. Oh my God. We just had another dynamic conversation.
Well, I'm always on it.
Yeah, I love being able to talk to you, and you always bring us so many different points of views, and we get to learn. Now I know about USC 14-14-1. Did I say that right?
Yes, you do.
And then I know about USC 242.
That's correct. Boy, I tell you, see, look, now I am a great instructor. And listen, at the end of the day, that's why my series, and if I could just do a shameless plug,
Sure.
I've developed a series called Curriculum and Organizational Policing Strategies. It's my approach to real criminal justice reform that starts from the inside out, and it begins in the classroom. You have to have a common fund of knowledge that is being transferred from the desktop into actual performance. So with that, you can follow me or check out my YouTube channel at Instructor Rambo. I just literally loaded up my first video called In Charge of Change. It's a short, quick tutorial, 3 inspiring core competencies of law enforcement leaders of the 21st century. Go check it out. And we're going to be putting up more information. So help me subscribe and like that channel along with Sharon. Thank you for bringing me on the Access Granted and giving me the exposure. And hopefully we'll be able to feed back and forward on one another. But to that point, I'm glad you got a good retention of the 2 USC codes. That shows that you were paying attention and you're very intrigued about how you, as a parent, can help your children using the law.
Absolutely. And look, I only have one grandchild. It's really a grand dragon. It's a bearded dragon, so I don't think she's gonna be arrested at any point. So I don't have grandchildren. But I'm happy to share this information with, whether friends, families, or just, someone that may be perusing Facebook or Instagram and happens to see, the this video or this talk. And so I'm hoping that we have parents out there that are concerned about their young boys and girls and grandparents are concerned about their grandchildren, that they would just, want to sign up for this course that you are offering for free 99, free.
Free 99.
He said free 99. So
free is $3,000.
Right. But it's only a one-time offer. Only a one-time offer. So you can leave a comment in the comment section, or you can reach out to me at Sharon@impactingyourlife.com. You can reach out to me that way if you want your son to be a part of this program, this course. I think it is going to be amazing and very impactful. It's a webinar. So you don't even have to leave your house. Your child doesn't have to leave your house. You don't have to get an airplane ticket or get on a train, and you don't have to take an Uber or a Lyft. All you have to do is click on some buttons on your phone or your laptop or your iPad or tablet, whatever computer device you have, and you will get just a plethora of information that could possibly save your child's life.
I'm gonna have fun with this, Sharon. You remember on Saturdays we would get up specifically. You had your time, your clock set, even in your mind. 7 o'clock on Saturday mornings, you was up watching the Super Friends in your pajamas with your Cocoa Puffs, your Pop-Tarts, your Tang, what have you.
Yeah.
You actually sat at that thing until the American Bandstand came on.
Right.
Well, we can do the same thing with this.
Yes, we can.
We'll make this the schoolhouse rock of constitutional principles for kids.
Look, I was about to say schoolhouse rock. Conjunction, junction, what's your function?
You're showing your age. You're showing your age. I'm younger than you.
But look, I look good though. I look good. No, I'm just but no, thank you so much for just taking this time. To those who had additional questions, thank you for your questions and your comments. Thank you for your support of Access Granted. This is not the end. And yes, we are still going to have some fun, but I thought these conversations were so important that I wanted these to be, talked about for my first episode, and my second episode, and maybe my third episode. But I just needed to, get this out. I think it is my responsibility with this platform, not to just come on and have fun, but to be able to provide you with great information about how to walk in this world and what we need to do to stay safe. We have to be able to stay safe and keep our families safe as well. So thank you all so much. Charles Rambo, thank you again.
Thank you.
We will have another conversation. So stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon. This is Sharon Grant with Access Granted. Bye.